Hey everyone, today we are taking a look at Sky Arena in Overlord mode. The quick overview is that there are two new mechs for the last two bosses, but the rest of the dungeon is pretty much the same, so we're going to go ahead and start with boss number 1. Okay, we're going to go ahead and skip through most of that because it took a long time to clear those mobs. So for boss number 1, I think that if you all kind of stand on the tank, it might be a bit easier. They changed the AoE a bit so that it's not always, moving around so much. However, the main point of this boss is to not move as much as possible. So as you're fighting him, if you move 5 times, you will get a message over your head in red text, and you have to move out of the way of these circular hammers. So I'm going to fast forward a bit because it's a long fight, and I think you kind of get the point. They did change these kind of yellow area of effect things, so they tend to point more away from the tank. So again, I think if you stand where the tank is, it will probably help. So here we're getting just these kind of random yellow circles, but you can start to see some of the stacks in the middle of the screen. That boot one in the center there is the one where we don't want too many stacks. But you can see people are moving a lot, and you're starting to get these circular hammers going. Again, if we're all stacked on the tank, I think for sheer damage, we don't have to move. We do have a little bit of movement here, but again, stacking I think would probably be the best option. However, I have run this several times where we just kind of all spread out and you just try to avoid moving, and then you don't have to dodge these hammers so much. And here again, when you're not moving too much for the tank, it seems like the AoE kind of avoids you. So here the pie slice where it's safe is kind of where I was standing. However, because people were moving to get to that, we dropped more hammers and just had a lot of hammers in this particular run. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this fight. It's just really avoiding these AoEs, getting 5 stacks and trying not to kill your group with all the swinging hammers. So I'm going to fast forward through some of this. And again, I mean, some of these it's not quite the direction where the tank is, but since I'm moving around a lot, it's really hard to tell if these AoEs are random or if they are where I was standing before I dodged. So again, it's just something to try in the future. But in general, if you try not to move too much, you should be okay on that boss. All right, I'm going to clear up to boss number 2 and 3, and I'm just going to skip some of these mobs because, again, some of them seem to just take forever to kill. Okay, 6 minutes later, we are at boss number 2 and 3. So for this, we're going to go ahead and run over. One person needs to talk to the guy at the opposite side of the room. I'm sure you already know this from Arena, but if you somehow missed the Sky Arena in adventure mode, you need to talk to that guy, and then one of the 2 bosses, the one that you pick, will come out. So for this first one, we are going to pull him a little towards the edge because he does do a frontal attack that you don't want the DPS to be hit by. So first of all, you'll get red text over your head, and he does try to push people out of the arena or charge them occasionally. And the longer you are in this circle, the more damage you will do. So as the purple meter in the center of the screen goes up, I think to about 50%, you start to increase your DPS. And as closer it gets to 100%, you are doing more DPS as well. This audience member here went out and charged me, so tanks just grab him and bring him to the boss so he gets hit with any AoE. Sometimes the audience gets mad at you and throws, I don't know, bottles of fire or something at you, and it leaves these fiery puddles. You'll have that circle around you that you saw I had just a second ago, and I drop these fire puddles, so just try to stay away from him. Now in the background you'll see this one of these new mechs, and I'm a little confused by it. I think you're supposed to stay away from it, but it didn't really seem to do anything if I stood in the middle of it. I was really just trying to figure out what it does, and I think that it just follows one of the DPS until it disappears. So I was standing in it just to see what would happen, which was absolutely nothing. I did go in the green area later on, and it didn't seem to do anything there either. So I don't know if this mech is broken or what's going on with it. But if you do see that, again, here's this where it's just attack facing the tank. If you do see that mech, I would just avoid it. I mean, you could stand in the middle, and it seemed like it said something about it being peaceful. But again, I would just try to avoid it. Here it is again. I was trying to see if I stood in there, if it what would happen, but it didn't seem to do anything again if I stood in even the green part. So the last time it appears, I just avoid it altogether. But I would just avoid the thing altogether. So that's it for this boss. That's the only new mech I saw. So really just have the boss face the tank over to the side. The rest of the DPS kind of stand nearby. The boss will push you out of the arena, come back in. Again, so that purple bar is at 100% right now. And we are doing more DPS than before. Now it does say to break the shield. I never really noticed a whole... I guess we're doing 0 damage, so he must have the shield on him now. So after a bit, I guess he will have... There we go, where we're doing more damage. So I guess there is a shield. I was expecting something to actually be surrounding him. So again, you're going to need to break that. But that's it. There's nothing super exciting about this guy. So I'm going to fast forward a bit. I'm sorry I don't have more answers as to exactly how to do some of these mechs. I think some of it will be me trying it out more. And if I find something really exciting, I'll post an update video on this. But for now, at least you have a good idea of what the mechs are. For this boss, they did change it up a bit. So you used to have a share damage where you would share damage and then the directional would hit the tank and you had to move out of the way. They took that out from what I can tell. You still get the rectangle towards one of the DPS and you have to block it. So we'll see that. And then there's an extra mechanic here with that basically kills the tank. So we'll go over that as well a little bit with some ideas as to maybe how to get around that. But here we are with this boss. So we're going to go ahead and DPS. Now the first thing is we should be blocking the spear. So we get this rectangle and you want somebody to stand in front of the player who got the rectangle on them. In this case, we also got one of the little fire bomb things from the audience at the same time, but because we stood in front of the DPS guy, we blocked that one. Okay, at 66%, the tank is going to become trapped in a line with 3 totems around the room. So you can see here the 3 totems. You're supposed to break the totems to rescue the tank. Now we had all the DPS on the totem, and here we can see we're trying to break the totem, They get rid of the totem, run to the next totem, try to break that one. However, by the time they get to the 3rd totem, the first one comes back. So I'm not sure if it would be better to have 1 DPS on each totem. That way you kind of DPS them all down at the same time and then help out the last 1 or 2 people to break it out. But as you can see, once the timer, whatever the timer was, ran up, the tank died. I have actually not gotten past this without the tank dying, and I've talked to a couple other people and they've all said the tank died. So I'm not sure if it would be better to maybe DPS the totems down to 50% and kind of rotate so that you can get them faster afterwards, or if you want to, I think 1 DPS on each totem might be the better option, and then just help out whoever's slowest. So again, here you can see this purple bar in the center of the screen. As it nears 100%, we are doing more DPS. So try and stay in that circle. Again, there was one of the rectangles, and you want to stand in front of the player that gets the rectangle so that you block the attack on that player. So bar in the center 100% because you're staying in the circle, and block the players that are getting the rectangle on them. And that's most of this fight. There's really not a whole lot. And then you get these totems at 66 and 33%. Again, here we are, we're breaking the lines, trying to get this tank out, and we are still going to fail with me dying. You're only going to kill the tank twice, so you can still res up and move on with the fight, and it seems to be okay. Most people don't care, I don't think, that they're killing the tank, unless a lot of other people are dying. So, again, I'm not sure it's a huge issue, but I would rather not die. So, I think that really this would be one person on each totem. If it turns out to be something else, again, I'll do an update video and fix that. But I'm guessing that's probably the way to go for this. So that's it for this fight. Hopefully you found this helpful. It really wasn't too much more than adventure. But again, if you kind of skip through all the mechanics in adventure, you might not know what they are for Overlord. You're watching VGO 40, and this is VGO Girl, and thank you for watching. See you next time.